Alright, hey and welcome to the mantra section of this tutorial series. This one I'm just gonna wing it. There's not gonna be any project file for this particular, but I have a couple of topics here I want to talk about. So there's gonna be 10 videos, and we're gonna talk about setting up a render, the basics. And I'm gonna talk about the camera, talk about the lights. I'm gonna talk about the mantra node. I'm gonna talk about materials, rendering particles, rendering volumes, mattes and phantom objects, render passes, and exporting frames to comp programs. So I think that's mostly what you need to do to be able to render things and get it out of Houdini and into your preferred comp package, whether it be After Effects, Nuke, anything else. But yeah, let's have a look at just setting up our first simple render. So the first point here, I'm gonna render just an object. Let's take the rubber toy. Let's move it up a little bit, like that. This one actually also come with the material already. Then we're gonna put a grid, like that. So we now have two geometry objects. Remember, this is a geometry object. Now we're in SOP level, so this is a SOP object. So how do we render these? We have these two objects here. To render things, we need to go into the render context called ROPs. Or a ROP. You can either drop down a ROP network like this, but I usually don't do that. I like to switch up here where it says object. You can switch down to out, and in here you can drop down a mantra node. Mantra we're gonna talk a little bit more about in a future tutorial, but mantra is basically the render engine of Houdini. Houdini does support third-party plugins such as Arnold, Octane, Redshift, but the standalone, the standard one is Mantra, and it's a pretty good render engine. It's a little bit slow in certain things, but usually works like a charm for me. Anyway, in the Mantra node, we have a bunch of things. I'm going to go over this more in a future tutorial, as I said, but for now, we're just going to head to the Objects tab. We're going to make sure that the candidate objects are starred, which means that all our objects will be rendered, and the candidate lights should also be a star. We don't have any lights right now, so instead our camera is actually going to create lights. So we have a mantra node set up here. That's great. That means that we can render it. If we want to name it, we can name it here. We can set test render. And we come back to object. We can create a camera really quick. I'm also going to go over cameras a little bit more in future tutorials, but for now we're just going to create a single camera here. So if you hold Control and click the camera here, it will actually create a camera from your viewport like this, which is really handy. And then if you want to move it around, you can click this lock here, so you can like pivot around. And when you feel like it's a good position, like say here, I'm happy with it, you can click the lock again and you can drag it out. And you can see your camera is here. If you want to go back to it, you can go here, click the camera, and then click the lock again, and you can move it around. Let's click the lock, let's go out. And in the mantra node, the camera is selected here, the camera. The default is cam1, and the default camera that you can create is called cam1. So if you just create camera, it will recognize it and put it in there. So that's great. Let's go to our camera. So how do we render this? To render it, you can either go here and click this, the film strip here, or you can go to render view here. And I will re-render this actually. So I'm going to render it again. So this is a render view. This is a scene view. This is a render view. And this is a geometry spreadsheet, if you remember. The render view, here you can render things. So first of all, you have this. We're going to go to the drop-down menu and select test render the node. That's the mantra node that we want to render through. And yeah, that's it. Just hit render. And it will start chugging. And you can see it renders. So this is our rubber toy. If I now go ahead and let's say I move it -1, it's going to automatically update. If I move it 0.5, it's going to update again. If I move it to the side, it's going to update. So it's kind of a live interactive render viewport, which is really cool. Yeah. And I think that's it for creating your first render. So that's all you need. Camera, objects, and a mantra node in the out context. Yeah. Alright guys, see you next tutorial. Thank you.